Imagine honoring the dead not with mourning, but with celebrations. With festivities, with feasts, with food, with music, and rituals passed down for over thousands of years. So sacred that neither the Spaniards nor the Catholic Church could erase them. Today we'll see how our diverse peoples across the Philippines, from Luzon, the Visayas, and Mindanao, kept these traditions alive, evolving over centuries with deep spiritual roots. From ancient rituals and offerings that predate Christianity to modern practices shaped by colonial influences. Because unknown to many in the Philippines, the way we honor and pay respects and celebrate the dead is far more complex and far more colorful than you might think. Mabuhay or in Kapampangan, luwid kayo. Welcome to my channel. It's me, Kirby Araullo, your friendly Pinoy historian. And in today's video, we'll be exploring how the diverse people of the Philippines celebrate the Day of the Dead. From pre-colonial origins, ancient rituals, to modern day practices that we see today. Okay, just a quick note. As we dive into these vibrant traditions, I'll be sharing from my research as a Filipino historian and my perspective as a Kapampangan and Tagalog culture bearer, approaching these stories and traditions with respect for the depth and the diversity of our heritage. Because each region, each ethno-linguistic group in the Philippines has its own unique customs and traditions, its own unique colorful cultures. And today's video is just a brief introduction into the many ways our diverse peoples in the Philippines honor and celebrate the dead. And if you would like to learn more and dig deeper beyond today's video, I actually have an entire playlist and many more videos here on YouTube all about Philippine mythologies and folklores, with more stories about our ancestors, their beliefs, and traditions. So make sure to check them out after this video. And exploring these traditions, these diverse cultures, reveals just how deep and how fascinating our diverse heritage truly is. And to be honest, there's just simply so much more to cover. So much more that, not everything would fit in a single YouTube video like this. So if there's anything that I missed, or anything that you want to add from your own cultures and backgrounds, let us know in the comments below. Let us all learn from one another. Before the arrival of the Spaniards, our ancestors had rich traditions for remembering the dead. Our pre-colonial ancestors believed that the soul's journey did not end with death. In fact, it marks a new spiritual path that required offerings and rituals to guide the spirits. And across the archipelago, these practices varied, but with shared themes of respect, offerings, remembrance, and celebration. So let's take a look at a few examples. Okay, so let's begin up north with the Ilocano tradition of Atang and the Ibaloi fire mummies, incredible ways to honor and protect their loved ones. In the northern regions of the Philippines, the Ilocano people honor the spirits of the departed through Atang, ritual food offerings like rice cakes, fruits, and meat. And even today, this tradition remains central to Undas, the Filipino Catholic celebration of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. Ilocano families visit cemeteries, placing these carefully prepared offerings at the graves of their loved ones, praying for peace, protection, and blessings for both the living and the departed. And each offering is made with great care, reflecting the deep reverence for our ancestors. But unlike Undas, Atang is not limited to cemeteries. In fact, offerings are also made in homes or churches, blending ancient customs with Catholic rituals. This sacred indigenous practice keeps the spirits at peace, while reinforcing the enduring connection between the living and their ancestors. And by continuing Atang, Ilocano families preserve a cultural legacy that honors their loved ones and keeps their spirits close, showing how deeply intertwined spiritual beliefs and traditions have become over the centuries. Now further north into the highlands of northern Luzon, we find a distinct and rare practice by the Ibaloi people of Benguet. Known as the fire mummies, these preserved remains date back hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. The indigenous Ibaloi people meticulously use smoke, heat, and specific herbs over several weeks to mummify the bodies of their deceased. And after mummification, these revered ancestors were placed in caves, believed to protect and watch over future generations, reflecting a deeply held connection between the living and the spiritual presence of their forebearers. Now together, these practices from the Ilocano Atang to the Ibaloi fire mummies illustrate the diversity and depth of ancestral veneration in northern Luzon, where honoring the dead has long connected past generations with the present in meaningful and enduring ways. So now let's head down south to central Luzon, where we find Daun, a Kapampangan tradition with light that guides our ancestral spirits. The Kapampangan tradition, known as Daun or Daun Mete, meaning offerings to the dead, involves offering food and gifts to the spirits and the ancestors. Kapampangans would hold a 9-day feast filled with prayers, food, and celebrations to honor our departed loved ones and ensure their well-being in the afterlife. An interesting part of the Daun tradition is Gosu, where Kapampangan singers visit homes to perform folk songs about saints in honor of the departed. And traditionally, if families did not offer something in return, these singers might playfully take a small item from the yard. Unknown to many, it is a lively custom and tradition that feels like a mix of modern-day Christmas caroling and trick-or-treating. And speaking of Christmas, one of the most fascinating elements of the Daun tradition is the role of the lanterns we now call Parol. Unknown to many, even in the Philippines, the use of these lanterns, or Parol, to light the path in darkness goes back to ancient times. So long before the Kapampangans embraced Christianity, these colorful lanterns served a spiritual purpose, guiding the spirits of our ancestors during the tradition and rituals of Daun. And while today the Parol is widely associated with Christmas, its indigenous roots in honoring the departed reflect a profound spiritual connection with Kapampangan heritage. Daun remains a deeply rooted and widely practiced ritual among Kapampangan families across Central Luzon, continuing a legacy of honoring our ancestors that predates colonial influence. But unlike other regions in the Philippines, where All Souls Day, All Saints Day, or the Day of the Dead are often referred to as Undas, to this very day Kapampangans still refer to these observances as Daun, a term that reflects both the ritual offerings and the remembrance of the departed. Now during Daun, families gather to visit the graves of our loved ones, lighting candles, offering food, and sharing prayers, customs that stem from pre-colonial practices and connects us to our indigenous past. These gatherings often serve as family reunions, connecting the living with the dead. And this simple yet profound ritual continues to echo the enduring connection between the past and the present, reminding us of the timeless threads that binds us to our heritage. Okay, now sailing to the islands of the Visayas, where we find Kalag-Kalag, a time for family, food, and remembering the departed. The Visayan tradition of Kalag-Kalag brings families together to honor their ancestors by visiting graves, offering food, and lighting candles. And this practice is deeply rooted in the Visayas and continues to thrive to this very day, especially during Undas. Visayan families prepare traditional dishes like biko, a sweet rice cake made with coconut milk, and budbod, a sticky rice delicacy wrapped in banana leaves. These offerings are shared not only with the spirits but also with the neighbors, further fostering bonds with the community. And over time, Kalag-Kalag has merged with Undas, where families gather at cemeteries, decorating graves with flowers, lighting candles, and offering food, while also attending Catholic masses to pray for the souls of the departed. Yet the essence of their pre-colonial Visayan rituals remains, blending indigenous customs with Catholic influences. And even today, these communal feasts are reminders that the dead are never truly gone. Through food offerings and prayers, Visayan families reinforce our ties with our ancestors, asking for guidance and blessings while celebrating a bond that honors both memory and togetherness. And finally, but definitely not the least, in the southern islands of Mindanao, where we can see a blend of indigenous Lumad and Muslim practices to honor and celebrate their ancestors in their unique ways. In Mindanao, ancestral veneration and honoring the dead are traditions that embody both communal identity and spiritual connection. And among the indigenous Lumad communities, honoring the deceased is a shared experience where families and kin would gather to offer food, drinks, and items symbolizing the continuity of life. These offerings are carefully prepared and presented to the ancestral spirits, who are believed to be the protectors who remain a vital part of the family's present. Now, for the indigenous Lumad, this practice is not only about remembrance, but it is also a means of seeking the ancestors' guidance and blessings for the well-being of the community. The gathering around these offerings foster a sense of unity and respect that transcends generations, linking the past with the present. And in the Muslim communities of Mindanao, Mindanao. The tradition of Kanduli, a ceremonial feast, blends Islamic spirituality with indigenous elements, creating a unique expression of remembrance. Now, originally a pre-Islamic ritual, Kanduli adapted to the arrival of Islam, integrating prayers, blessings, and supplications to Allah for the souls of the departed. Muslim families come together to prepare and share traditional dishes such as tipas, tudong, sinina, and many other regional specialties, symbolizing the unity and continuity of family ties. Now, these food offerings, presented with reverence, are meant to honor both the living and the departed, emphasizing gratitude and respect. These feasts are not only occasions for mourning, but also for gratitude, celebrations of the ancestors' contributions and sacrifices, which are believed to provide lasting protection and spiritual support for the family. In both the diverse indigenous Lumad and Muslim communities, these traditions underscore a profound belief in the interwoven relationship between the living and the dead. Through practices like Kanduli, families honor a legacy that has withstood centuries, carrying forward customs that balance indigenous values and spiritual beliefs. For the diverse people of Sulu and Mindanao, these rituals serve as enduring pillars of identity, faith, and cultural heritage, celebrating a connection with the ancestors that remains as vibrant as ever. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, but traditions like Daun in Kapampangan, Kanduli in Mindanao, and Atang in Ilocos are more than just rituals. They are indeed indigenous traditions of thanksgiving, deeply rooted in honoring our ancestors for their enduring presence and protection. These ceremonies weave together reverence and gratitude, reflecting a profound connection to those who came before us. So let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a video exploring the diverse Thanksgiving traditions across the Philippines. Now, if you think about it, these pre-colonial practices and indigenous traditions did not disappear with the arrival of the Spaniards. In fact, they continue to evolve alongside Catholic traditions and colonial influences, creating unique traditions that we see today. So when the Spaniards brought Catholicism to the Philippines, they introduced new ways to honor the dead, such as All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, known today in Tagalog as Undas. The term itself evolved from the Spanish honras, meaning honors or rites for the dead. But rather than replacing the pre-colonial practices, the diverse Filipino communities found ways to interweave these Catholic customs into their existing traditions, resulting in a colorful tapestry of beliefs and customs that continues to thrive to this day. And today, Filipinos across Luzon, the Visayas, and Mindanao gather each year for Undas or Day of the Dead, while continuing many pre-colonial practices like Daun, Kanduli, and Atang, blending them with prayers, candlelighting, and offerings at cemeteries. And these customs have also traveled far beyond the islands. In fact, in the Filipino diaspora, especially in places like California and Hawaii, Undas is still observed, sometimes with local twist. Filipino families around the world visit cemeteries, light candles, and create ancestral altars at home, decorating them with pictures, personal items, and traditional offerings, echoing the practices of our ancestors. And indeed, many Filipinos abroad also blend Undas with Halloween customs, creating a fusion that reflects both their Filipino heritage and their new cultural surroundings, keeping these traditions alive and evolving. Now, as we can see, these traditions, these practices continue to thrive and adapting to modern times. But wherever you are in the Philippines or wherever you go across the diaspora, the core remains the same, honoring our dead and preserving our connections to our ancestors. Our Day of the Dead traditions are not unique to the Philippines. Indeed, they connect us to a broader cultural family across Southeast Asia and even as far as Mexico, reflecting our shared cultural values of ancestor veneration and celebration. In Southeast Asia, similar practices exist. For example, in Indonesia, the Toraja people hold the Manene Festival, a remarkable ritual where families carefully exhume, clean, and redress the remains of their ancestors, followed by community celebrations that strengthen familial bonds. And in Malaysia, the Tahlil prayer ceremony gathers people to offer prayers for the departed, and these are often done in mosques, homes, or community spaces, much like the Kanduli feast of Mindanao. And these practices, like in the Philippines, emphasize a deep, living connection with our ancestors through reverence and communal gatherings. Now looking even further, there's a remarkable connection with Mexico. Through the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade, Filipino and Mexican customs intertwined over the centuries, and our ways of honoring the dead have actually influenced one another. And much like Mexico's Dia de los Muertos, Filipino practices like Kalag-Kalag and Daun bring families together in celebration, blending food, music, and prayer. These diverse cultures celebrate the lives of the dead, transforming remembrance into a joyful, family-centered tradition. Now, these connections to Mexico and the Americas are truly fascinating. In fact, these are one of my favorite topics back in high school and college. And I've always wanted to create a series of videos about the deeper cultural connections between Mexicans and Filipinos. So let me know in the comments below if that is something that you would like to see in this channel. But for now, back to our topic. From the ancient and indigenous rituals of Kalag-Kalag, Daun, Kanduli, and Atang to the modern-day observances of Undas and the evolution of the Christmas Parol, the way Filipinos honor our dead is a reflection of our deep connection to our ancestors and our interwoven roots. So whether through food offerings, prayers, or family gatherings, these traditions have adapted through the centuries. Yet they all carry the same message. Our ancestors are always here with us, and we keep their spirits alive by remembering and honoring them through our deeply rooted traditions. So how do you or how does your family celebrate and honor our departed loved ones? I'd love to hear your stories and your traditions, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video and find it insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more stories about our people's history, culture, and everything in between. Now this video is brought to you by subscribers and viewers like you. Your support has kept this channel going for over 12 years, and I'm truly grateful for our growing community. And if you're new here, and if you'd like to support my work, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member of my YouTube channel. You can also show your support by getting copies of any of my books, coloring books, ebooks, and merch, all about celebrating the rich histories and diverse cultures of the Philippines and Southeast Asia. So check out the links below and order your copies today. Maraming salamat po, or in Kapampangan, dakal pong salamat kay Kongan, and in Ilocano, agyaman aklaunay. See you next time in Tagalog kita kits and in Kapampangan, Mikitix and in Binisaya, kita aita.